I'm experienced.
What's up, guys? It's February 15th, 2023, and welcome back to 3 Rounds. So last week, we had a week off because of the big pay-per-view in Australia, and hey, that was a fight, wasn't it? It was close, it was competitive, it was everything we expected. But we're back, and we're actually back in the news. So you know what time it is. Let's get to the fight. That's my left hook, my new one.
I'm gonna show you.
Round 1. Jon Jones gives me permission to call his fight, tweeting, DC, you are more than welcome to commentate at my fight. I think you're really good at what you do. I trust that you will be non-biased. All the best, brother. Now, you guys know our history, and you guys know how I feel about Jones and how we have felt about each other in the past. But it leads me to this question. How do I take this particular tweet, which at times feels like a compliment, but also can be interpreted as a bit of a dig, considering, at times people call me biased in my commentary and all this other stuff, when in reality, we all have a built-in home bias for people that we care about. This is nothing new. So when I'm talking about Islam and those guys, I truly believe that I try so hard not to be biased that I go the other way. So all my teammates are generally pretty upset with me when I call their fights. But again, it's about Jones and how do I take this. First, guys, just for the record, I don't really need permission to call someone's fight. I'm not going to call Zach Candido or Craig Borsari and say, hey, Jon Jones said it's okay for me to call the fight, so you guys can put me on the call. But I'll be honest with you. It's kind of nice to hear the fighter acknowledge that even with our history, he believes that I could do him justice and do the job fairly. Because I've done it before. And I've done it at a time when him and I were at the height of our engagements, of our rivalry, of our fighting. When I called the Ovin St. Preux fight, I thought that I did him justice. At the end of the fight, he flipped me off when he left the octagon. Obviously, like I said, we're very deep into our rivalry. He even said after the fight, I don't know what he said, but I imagine he wasn't very nice. It seems as though Jones now is maturing. He seems to be taking a much different approach to the build to the fight and how he's approaching everything. But it feels nice for him to acknowledge, I think this guy could do me justice, even with everything. But I don't know why, considering I felt like I did him justice in the first fight. But ultimately, it's not about him and I anymore. It's about him and this undertaking. Him finally going up to fight at heavyweight. And honestly, it has the potential to be a crazy fight. I was talking to Rogan today, and we bounce off of each other back and forth the things about the fight and how excited we both are to call this fight. Because it's a big one. Because as a fan of the game, it's good to see him back. I've been a guy that is, for as long as I have done this, for all the bad blood and all the fighting, the immature acts that Jones and I have put on at times, I have always said and credited him for being who he is. One of the most phenomenal fighters and gifted fighters inside the octagon. He's extremely talented. He's got a fight IQ unlike many. He's always in great shape. He's always in great cardio shape. He can fight long. He can fight the hard fight. We have seen him get through tough with Alexander. We have seen him get through tough with me. We have seen him get through tough with Thiago Santos and with Dominic Reyes. We have seen him get through tough. There are so many good things about him in fighting. And that is going to be on display on March 4th against Cyril Gane. So yes, it is nice to hear him go, hey man, I believe Daniel Cormier could do the job, but I'm a professional. I have to be able to do the job. I don't know that Jon Jones and I sit for an interview. I don't know that we sit for a fighter meeting. I don't know. I can't answer those questions for you just yet because I don't know. But I do know that I, as a man, can acknowledge, it's cool that he recognizes that I'm a professional. Do I take this thing tongue-in-cheek? Do I take this in the way that all of our interactions have been prior to this? Maybe. I don't know. But we get to see Jon Jones back in 3 weeks, but that's the question. Who do we see when he returns to the octagon? Do we see the guy that ran roughshod over the light heavyweight division? Or do we really see a 35-year-old man that's going up a weight class? 3 weeks. We find out.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
All right, round 2. The new UFC rankings came out, and Alexander Volkanovski stays number 1 pound for pound. But the interesting aspect of this is Islam Makhachev said that he expected it. He posted a clip to his Instagram where he said, this was expected. He goes, I never expected justice, and I still don't, because we have always seen the attitude towards us in the example of our fighters. Magomed Ankalaev, Pereira. The main thing is I flew 13,000 kilometers, defeated their champion there. Referee raised my hand. With my head up confident with a belt, I came home. Islam is stating he feels as though Pereira got robbed against Sean O'Malley. He feels like Magomed Ankalaev got robbed against Jan Blachowicz. But in this case, with him and Volkanovski staying 1, as much as I love him, he's my buddy, I care for him tremendously. But did Volk not show us last weekend what pound for pound is? Because pound for pound is supposed to be a display of skill that will translate multiple weight divisions. Alexander Volkanovski was the guy going up last weekend. He lost the fight, but he showed that his style translates and can work at 155. And if it wasn't Islam Makhachev, who else would you have favored to beat Alexander Volkanovski on that night? You can't say many. So pound for pound states, theoretically, if all things are equal, who's going to win the fight? So they're saying if Alexander was 5'11 like Islam, if he weighed 175 like Islam, they're saying that they believe that Alexander would have won the fight. Unfortunately, we aren't all the same. We are not creative fighters. Where you go, your guy gets to be 6'1", my guy gets to be 6'1", we have the same reach. It's not the way it works. So all you can base it on is the body type, the weight classes, and everything that we bring into the octagon on that night. For the record, this fight was promoted as the winner becomes the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Islam won the fight. Because for as good as Alexander fought, Islam won the fight. He did. He won the fight. And he should be the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world. But I am not outraged. I'm not. But I also understand that after watching the fight, it was a fun, competitive fight that was great for the sport and all the fans. This is all we've ever wanted in a super fight. This fight was everything we could have hoped for in a champion versus champion matchup. And for me, that's probably what's most disappointing in everything. Because I did my recap for the volume. I did DC and RC for ESPN. And there is so much talk about everything else. From the robbery talk to the Ivy talk. And now the rankings. That we are losing track of what's most important. We got a champion versus champion fight that delivered. It wasn't one-sided like McGregor versus Alvarez. It wasn't a one-round fight like me and Stipe. It wasn't a slaughter like Amanda and Chris Cyborg. And it wasn't Henry Cejudo just kind of really outmanning Marlon Moraes. It was competitive. It was fun. And it was amazing. But we as humans, we get distracted by all the other stuff. So we're losing sight of how good a fight this was. We all love to focus on something. And it feels like we're on the wrong things. We should live in what this fight was promoted as. And guys, what it actually turned out to be. Generally, we are promised things and they never deliver. This one did. This one said it was going to be a fight between the 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. On Saturday night, Islam Makhachev and Alexander Volkanovski proved exactly that. That they are the 2 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. And when you lock them in the octagon, it will be fun. It will be competitive. Let's stop doing all the other stuff and let's focus on what's important. We got entertained on Saturday, guys. Live in it. Love it.
I'm gonna show you how great I am.
Round 3. Uber prospect. super prospect, every superlative you want to throw out there to talk about this guy and speak to his greatness, Bo Nickal. He's got some pretty big ideas for his future. He said that he feels like he's ready for the best right now. He told Ariel Helwani that stylistically, a matchup against the champion, Alex Pereira, is great for him. I mean, you would think that, right? He went on to say that I've watched their fight a couple times. In the grappling, I mean, the striking exchanges were super impressive. That go without saying. They're absolutely elite strikers. But when they get a hold of each other, it's almost funny. Like, I'm laughing at how they're moving, what they're doing and stuff. And maybe they feel that way about me when I'm hitting pads, hitting the bag and stuff. But I just feel like if I grabbed a hold of either of those guys, it would not go well for them. And I think everybody knows that. So that's not something that's a shocking statement or that's outlandish, at least in my opinion. Well, that's the thing about opinions, right? We all have them. They don't make them right. They really don't. Bo Nickal has strong opinions. And why wouldn't he? This guy's a 3-time NCAA champion, 4-time All-American, boxed his entire youth. He's got all the skills. But it's almost like the UFC's feeding that ego. Because Bo Nickal publicly stated, if I'm not on the main card right away, I'm not making my UFC debut. So where's Bo Nickal? Bo Nickal's on the main card in his UFC debut against a fighter in Jamie Pickett, who honestly, if I'm calling everything right, Jamie Pickett's there to lose to Bo Nickal. Jamie Pickett could be the belle of the ball if he gets it done. But he is there to lose to Bo Nickal and honestly add to the hype train. Now, I'm sorry. And I like Jamie. I think he's a nice guy. But the reality is he's there for a reason. You don't get matched up with guys like that. Matchmakers make matches for a reason, but you can also be Jared Gordon. Remember what he did to Paddy Pimblett? Left everybody talking. So it doesn't matter what you're supposed to be. What matters is what you make yourself out to be. Bo Nickal's extremely confident, and when you're on the main card right away and you've done what he's done on the Contender Series, why wouldn't you be? He's got tremendous skill, like I said. He's an unbelievable wrestler, guys, and he was really good on the mat. Really good on the mat. And I think that is why he has more of a chance in mixed martial arts. Because the great mat wrestlers are the ones that take to MMA and jiu-jitsu like nothing else. He's also fearless because he's grappled. He's grappled with Gordon Ryan and those other guys. Lost, but he went out there in front of people. He wrestled in the Olympic trials against the best. Guys that have trained him. Maybe he lost, but he's never afraid of taking a chance. And I think that is what is probably special about Bo Nickal. Because this is another chance. And all the great ones, guys, will tell you this. Without chance, without taking risks, you miss a lot of opportunity. So by him just saying yes, by him just going feet first into everything he does, he takes opportunity or gives himself opportunities. And that's exactly what he's doing again in the UFC. He's got a winnable fight in the Pickett fight. He's got a fight that's supposed to be. We obviously know mixed martial arts isn't always what it's supposed to be. But I wonder when I hear Nickal talking, I'm like, it's almost like Raul Rosas Jr. And so then I ask, is it a mistake to be that confident this early? Bo's not young as Rosas. He's 27 years old. So he's been around the block a little bit. But I'm going to tell you one thing as a wrestler. You come in there with extreme confidence. But the scariest thing in the world, or the most uncomfortable thing in the world, is being in the octagon with an opponent that can defend takedowns, and they're much better strikers. It ain't as easy as you think, Bo. So strap in. I know I'm ready for the ride. Let's see how far it takes Bo Nickal. And now for my final thought. Yair Rodriguez said he wants to fight in Mexico City against Alexander Volkanovski.
I stick to my goal, and I came here, won the interim title. Now I want to ask the UFC to take this belt, this championship fight, to Mexico City.
I believe that this would be tremendous. I remember Yair making his UFC debut in Mexico City, But I'm telling you, the altitude is a nightmare. Volkanovski does not get tired. And Yair Rodriguez had some issues in that UFC debut. He'll tell you. It's an embarrassing story. I was in the back after it happened. Yair will tell you. It's funny. But now as the champ, it don't matter what happened when he was a rookie in his UFC debut. But that Mexico City air will make cowards of us all. Got to hold to Cain Velasquez. And we know what Cain Velasquez was to cardio. But boy, what a moment it would be for Yair Rodriguez to hit that curtain in Mexico City. But Alexander Volkanovski in front of your home crowd? That's a big ask. It's also a big fight in the featherweight division that I'm all in on. Till next time, guys, like, subscribe, tell your friend to tell your friend that DC has a YouTube channel. Till next time, peace.